Hello and welcome to the Distance Dialogues, Cairns SDE's very first ever podcast, our first episode. I'm Claire McPherson, the Parent Liaison Officer, and today we have Martin Kohler and Vishanthri Hain-Keon, members of our Sustainability Committee, here with us. So we're just going to have a chat about all things sustainable, environment, etc. So Martin, what inspired you to get involved in sustainability and the committee?
Hey Claire, thank you very much for your invitation. It's great to be with you. I was inspired actually by my senior biology teacher at high school. So he introduced me to a lot of theories in environmental science, and one in particular was by James Lovelock. James Lovelock was the founder of the so-called Gaia theory, and it's a theory of seeing the whole planet as one animal or one big thing working together. That's probably how I came in contact with sustainability, and we want to build on that idea of one big entity in term 3 when we hopefully have an art competition as part of the sustainability team, showcasing this in more detail.
And Vishy, was there a moment or experience that really sparked your passion in sustainability?
Hello Claire and students and home tutors who are listening to this. It's great to be given an opportunity to discuss all things sustainability. As for me, I was born in Sri Lanka, and in Sri Lanka there wasn't a lot of effort made around sustainability in a concentrated approach. It was just embedded as a part of their sort of day-to-day lives. So when I was living there, we had lots of ways in which we could recycle, reuse. We were encouraged to sell paper to recycle. You could actually sell it to a person who came door to door. We were encouraged to recycle our glass bottles. There was no plastic at the time. So lots of little things were occurring in Sri Lanka whilst I was living there. And then when I migrated over to Australia, I was really kind of baffled as to why there wasn't the same intent to recycle, reuse, repurpose things. And so I just sort of felt once I became a teacher that I was in a really good position to encourage students to do that.
Yes.
So that's kind of where my sustainability journey began, in a sense.
And why do we feel it's really important to teach kids about sustainability, especially children of today and especially distance learning kids?
I think sometimes we can feel a bit removed from the environment, so we feel like we're not part of the environment at all, especially when you have technology nowadays. But we are an integral part of our environment, and I think that's sustainability in a nutshell. It's not only about recycling, but that's a big part, of course, but sustainability is also about fighting inequality. It's about having clean water, having energy available, because people cannot focus on their environment if they have those basic needs not fulfilled. So that's why I think it's important to teach kids that sustainability should be at the forefront of our thinking.
Do we have any examples of ways that home tutors at home can encourage their students to integrate more sustainable lifestyle into their everyday? Do we have any examples of that we could share?
Currently, I have a year 9 class, a year 8 class, and a year 7, and the diversity amongst those students is phenomenal. So there are students who have the capacity to think outside of the content that I'm delivering and make suggestions and innovate as we're going along. I just feel like at this point in time at CSDE, we're probably not utilizing all of the gifts that we're being given or shown adequately, because we're limiting everything to an approach with delivering science content. At least I'm just speaking for myself here. We're so limited to making sure that we deliver the content that we're not actually investigating opportunities for those students to actually bring in knowledge, their interests into the classroom and then move from that point. And I've actually sort of started talking to the head of department and flagging that as ways in which we could incorporate that in the future, I feel, a little bit better than we are now. So there are students in my classes as we speak who are actually having their own gardens and limiting the amount that they access via their local supermarket, reducing all of those travel impacts on the climate. They are growing plants to address climate change in their own way. There are students who live on farms and are problem solving on a day-to-day basis to manage cattle and their farms.
I feel like farming can be a really lateral point of view of how things are done, but actually in this day and age, the young people and the managers of the farm are introducing some really incredible ways that have a lower impact on the land and the environment, and it's so wonderful that they live in a way that's possible for them to bring into their everyday life.
Yeah, I agree. I feel that like we have such a large scope of students from various backgrounds, lots of different contexts that they live in, and we really need to be tapping into that knowledge and understanding better, I guess.
Yeah, and if you're short on ideas, then we always have the weekly sustainability messages with good ideas of what.
Yeah, they come through student notices and out to families as well, don't they?
As well as assemblies. You receive those messages I know 7 to 9 assemblies do deliver key sustainability messages every week.
Yeah, it's really great that this school provides different access for messages to go through to students and families, because it's so important that we learn these important techniques and different ways to live that are less of an impact. So Vishu, you mentioned some farming practices that people are introducing these days. Do we have some more ideas of really practical, easy to use things in the kitchen or in the home that some of those families that feel a bit disconnected from this new way of living and can join the ride and be healthier as well?
One of the easiest ways is to have composting. Lots of students that I've spoken to seem to be able to do that and kind of dedicate themselves to actually ensuring that they're composting. But aside from that, with the existence of AI, they can put in those parameters into AI to figure out some solutions for themselves in their particularly unique context, I feel. Any ideas from you, Martin?
It doesn't have to be complicated, so you can, for example, take your bike instead of taking your car, or using a reusable water bottle. That's a very good way to reduce your impact, because a lot of plastic water bottles are actually ending up in our ocean, and it's so simple. It's not a big change of your everyday lifestyle. The small things can go far.
Yeah, it's important that we remember that. Do you have any examples of some interesting ideas that some of the kids have come up with that they've shared with you? You mentioned some from the farming communities, but any other ideas of things that they do around the house or around their everyday that would be good to share with the others?
Not in this particular school, but in other schools that I've worked at, there was programs that actually allow students who excel in science to actually make significant inroads and alter community sort of outcomes. So one such example was, I don't know if home tutors and students are aware of Molly Steer, who was instrumental. She was only, I think, 8 or 9 years of age at the time, who advocated and compelled a whole society, all of Australia, to move towards paper straws from plastic, just because she saw the serious implications it had for turtles. And admittedly,
she was a local girl.
She is a local girl,
yeah.
One of the students I taught in Gordonville was a student who actually advocated for and changed some of those key ingredients in sunscreen to protect the Great Barrier Reef. And she did a whole campaign, and those sunscreen companies have taken her research on board and altered their chemical composition to ensure that it doesn't affect the coral reefs. So students are capable of eliciting so much change.
Another thing that your committee does really well, in addition to getting those regular messages out there for families, is also incorporating activities into our events, our face-to-face events. Can you tell some of the maybe newer families about some of the things that you've done at our main events throughout the years?
Yes, we're always trying to be part of the mini schools or the other community events that are happening. And it's mostly hands-on projects, like one time we built cute little beehives or those bee hotels. We did plant quite a lot of trees at our campus as well during those community events. We made kokedamas, which are like round mothballs, and we made little terrariums in our last mini school. So we always try to have hands-on activities and something that students can bring home and care for at their own place.
They're actually really good ideas. I was thinking sometimes the home tutors are looking for activities to do at home with the kids, especially in the school holidays. And the kokedamas and the terrariums are definitely ideas that they could do at home and learn about them. Is there any others you can think of that could be like a holiday activity for home tutors to bring to their kids at home?
We also did beeswax wrappers, which are a great way to reduce your plastic consumption, and just do some artwork, like plant some flowers or tomatoes. It helps your mental health and your well-being, and it's at the same time good for the planet.
And it's also a way to get kids interested. So some kids find their interest in things or understand topics better and learn about things through art. So sometimes it brings out that better understanding in those areas too.
One of the things I want to add to that is I actually have a student currently in my Year 9 Science class who is someone who goes out bird watching and, records all of the different species. That's something else that it doesn't cost any money to get that information from your particular context, your home, like what kind of animals come visit your home, and get those sorts of details and see how that changes, over time.
And that can be in rural areas, but also in metropolitan areas, because often changes in infrastructure can impact the animal and bird life and even the insect life there. So it would be really interesting to see the change over the years too. I'm sure lots of kids would love to get into that in the holidays. I think before, Vishy, you mentioned something about maybe an author or someone that you have found very powerful in this journey for you. Are there other particular authors or books or videos that are about this subject that you would like to tell the parents about?
You were talking about the authors, weren't you?
I think a good one is a new graphic novel, which is called Save Our Forest by Nora Dosnes. So that's something that our fantastic primary teacher, Faith McDonald, came up with, and I can highly recommend that. Or if you're more into movies, I highly recommend the documentary 2040, which you can actually watch on ClickView. That's a very powerful message there, giving hope to people who feel a bit down sometimes about our climate and our environment.
Is it about what our world will be like in 2040?
Exactly. So it's a documentary about what is possible and what can be achieved.
So Martin, can you name some of those other projects that your sustainability team has on site here at Cairns School of Distance Ed?
Sure. We have two big projects that we're working on at the moment. So the first one is the Rainforest Regeneration Zone at campus. It's an area which has been neglected, and we've been planting a lot of sites there, and we hope to have some bush tucker as well in the future, as well as some signage which the students hopefully will be participating in. And this could also include some virtual reality projects. So we have quite a lot of things planned in that area. And the second big point is the Palestine Wetlands project, which is a bigger thing. It's in the back of our campus. We have that dream of having a big outdoor classroom in that area, which would be fantastic. And finally, there is something coming up for everyone to participate in. That's the Great Reef Census. That's a citizen science project which we will promote hopefully in a special assembly this term for everyone to get involved and be part of science and mapping out how our Great Barrier Reef is traveling at the moment.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Martin and Vichy. It was lovely to have you as part of our first podcast, and I'm sure that our home tutors and families have got some really interesting and valuable information.
Thank you, Claire.